We've been waiting for you. Why, there's over 1 million people in there sweating to the oldies, and you're missing all the excitement. Well, don't worry, because we're moving this aerobic party to your house with Sweating to the Oldies, too. And, honey, if you thought the first workout was a blast, then you ain't seen nothing yet. Because with Sweating 2, the party's just begun. This is one sequel that has no equal. You'll dance your pounds away in a funky 50s diner as my blistering hot rock and roll band pumps up the volume with a brand new performance of your favorite golden oldies. The only thing you'll find on this diner's menu is exercise. From legs to stomach to buns, we'll serve you up the best low-impact workout you've ever experienced. And to keep you motivated, I've invited a whole new group of friends for you to party with. I promise you, you'll find someone in this video who'll inspire you to keep sweating on. Yeah! Hey, now what's a party without a gift? Well, I've got one for you. It's my brand new Take a Walk audio fitness cassette. You just plug it into your Walkman, open your front door, and off you go. You'll walk your way to a better you, and it's yours free when you order Sweating to the Oldies, too.
Richard! Stop talking and get in that box.
Just a second, Mother. So, if you missed the first party or don't want to be left out of the second one, this is your chance to join the fun. Ah! Mother!
Oh, I said let's go!
Ow, ow, ow!
Sweatin' to the Oldies is not sold or rented in any store. You can get your copy by calling 1-800-248-5400. That's 1-800-248-5400. Remember, Richard's Take a Walk audio fitness cassette at $12.95 value is yours free when you order. So call 1-800-248-5400.
A new soap opera is on television about gay life.
Welcome to Business World. I'm Sander Van Oker, and here's what's on this week's agenda. Slowing down industries from automation to automotive are laying off thousands. Is U.S. industry gearing down for the recession the government says we're not having? Also this week, one industry with plenty of nothing. Commercial real estate suffers from too much empty space. From Palm Springs, this week's Business World guest, Drexel Burnham Independent Director and former Securities and Exchange Commission Chairman Roderick Hills. And Sports Tech, a company marries video to computers, scoring on both the goal line and the bottom line.
From ABC News, this is Business World with Sander Van Oker and Stephen Ogg. Now from New York, here's Sander Van Oker.
The latest economic figures paint a mixed outlook for the nation's economy. The latest index of leading economic indicators released Friday shows a second straight flat month. Personal income, personal spending, and construction spending all turned up slightly in January. But the monthly purchasing managers report showed a continuing decline in manufacturing, even though the government says there's no recession coming. As business editor Stephen Ogg reports, the nation's manufacturers don't seem to be putting much stock in that prediction.
In the automobile industry, about 80,000 workers were in layoff status, either temporary or indefinite, during January. This as automobile sales remained sluggish, and that's about 11% of the industry workforce. In the computer business, about 34,000 jobs were scheduled to be abolished last year, and the layoffs continue into this year. And these are just two examples of how American manufacturers are being hit with the results of rising interest rates and a sluggish economy.
As we talk to manufacturers, they see no pickup in orders in production for the next couple of quarters, and as a result, no real increase in employment there.
At Manpower Incorporated, they've just completed their quarterly survey of the job outlook, a survey that for 15 years has reflected the economy. And Chief Executive Mitchell Fromstein says it shows manufacturing clearly down.
The electronic parts and the electronic equipment, the computer business in general, is down. When you get into parts of Michigan, you see the automotive manufacturing being down to some degree. If construction is off, which it has been the last 6 months, you see hard goods manufacturing down.
In the automobile business, the slowdown in sales comes at the same time executives are worried about excess capacity, not only from imports, but from the transplants, like this Nissan plant in Smyrna, Tennessee, where they're expanding despite a sluggish U.S. market. And that really worries executives at the domestic Big Three, like Harold Poling, who just became chief executive at Ford.
There's excess capacity not only in the North American market, but throughout the world. We project that this year there will be excess capacity in the world of about 8.4 million units, and about 6 million of that destined for the North American market. That says we'll have a brutally intensive competitive battle.
That could mean 20% more cars and trucks than consumers may want to buy this year. So if the automakers are hit with a lot of unsold cars, that affects their suppliers as well.
It's suppliers like semiconductors. More chips go into cars than go into PCs, like aluminum, rubber, plastics, and all the other tires. The tire companies are hurting because car production has been so low.
For the computer industry, the current slowdown is something new. During the 1982 recession, computers continued to do well because many business firms felt investing in a new computer system was one way to cut costs and become more efficient. But with those investments having been made so recently and the cost of borrowing now relatively high, prospective buyers are holding back.
The economic conditions certainly have driven a lot of people scrutinizing their investments. Do I really get this return? How certain is that return on investment?
Some companies, like United Technologies, have tried to get around any domestic slowdown by moving overseas. In the past 5 years, their overseas revenues have grown from 35% of total to 50%. While well known for their jet engines, they say nearly every car and truck built in the U.S. and Europe is equipped with at least one part made by United Technologies.
I'm concentrated on the U.S. market continuing to be strong, but nevertheless, I'm not naive and further understanding that it'll grow no further than inflation. Therefore, to allow this corporation to grow, without question, we're looking overseas for that growth.
Deere & Company is an example of one firm that's bucking the trend. Here's a company that did well selling farm equipment when the economy was going down, but did poorly when the general economy was going up, like 1987.
And so our business has picked up since 1987. We've have had very good sales, at least compared to where they were at the low point.
Deere also makes construction machinery, and with housing starts well below recent highs, you'd think they'd be suffering, but that's not necessarily true.
We export significant quantities of lumber products to Far Eastern countries. Those markets have been on a housing boom and a residential boom that has raised U.S. exports.
But even with all that, production levels at Deere are expected to grow just 5% this year. That's down from 13% last year. That's clearly a sign of a slowing economy.
I think what's happening is that we're getting a slowdown. And we yet don't see the same kind of indications that we would expect to see or have seen in the past when a recession is either in play or about to be in play.
Fromstein's survey sees hiring down 15 to 20% next quarter. That may seem like a lot, but neither he nor most economists see any recession anytime soon. So that would imply a slowdown, but no prolonged agony. Sandy?
Thanks, Steve. In just a minute, the economics of commercial real estate, another area of the economy where the increases have only been in negative numbers.
$1 million computers like these weren't built to withstand hard knocks. So when they wanted to move them cross-country, they called United Van Lines. This rare 19th century painting is too fragile for ordinary transportation, so they called United Van Lines. And when Kevin Anderson's family needed someone to move the things they treasured most, they called United Van Lines. Whether it's a computer, a priceless work of art, or an equally priceless outfielder's glove, the quality shows in every move we make.
The facts speak for themselves. From personal to advanced full color, America's most popular copier is Canon. Call toll-free 1-800-OK-CANON.
A big part of the savings and loan disaster has been real estate loans that turned sour. In the 80s, a combination of the ready availability of S&L money, along with the tax structure, encouraged development and overdevelopment, especially in the Southwest. Commercial banks also jumped into the booming real estate market. But now tax shelters are gone, speculative S&L loans are gone, and the rest of the economy is slowing. So far, the real estate industry hasn't gone bust, but it certainly has developed more than a slow leak. Downtown Manhattan's real estate market has never recovered from the slowdown following the October 1987 stock market crash. Over 25,000 financial services jobs have been lost since then. Now Drexel Burnham's bankruptcy and Shearson Lehman Hutton's announcement of layoffs are making a bad situation worse.
Well, we own one building on Broad Street, and Drexel is a tenant for about 220,000 feet, so I think we'll be affected.
Cost per square foot is going down, and there's already a differential of at least $10 a square foot between prime space in Midtown and prime space downtown. I think the difference is going to get bigger.
Downtown Manhattan isn't the only troubled office space market. Nationally, the office vacancy rate is an unhealthy 20%. So far, most of the major cities are below that. New York has a 13% rate, Philadelphia 15%, Chicago 15%, and Los Angeles is 16%. Of course, in other areas, it's far above the average.
Stamford, Connecticut right now, the office space is about 30% vacant right now. In parts of Texas, it's 30% vacant. In some markets that are viewed as weak, it's only about 15% as Boston. But in slower growing markets, you don't need a high vacancy rate to have the market be in a lot of trouble.
Boston-based Bank of New England found that out the hard way. It lost more than $1 billion last year, mostly on bad real estate loans, as New England's high-tech-driven economy faltered. First Interstate Bancorp of Los Angeles saw its non-performing real estate loans, mostly made in severely overbuilt Arizona, increase 25% to $1.6 billion. Citicorp of New York saw a 90% increase, also to $1.6 billion, as the Mid-Atlantic region weakened. And these banks may be just the tip of an iceberg.
I think there's still a lot of very bad real estate loans in a lot of the banks.
But at least for now, no one thinks the situation will get as bad nationally as it did a few years ago in Texas when the real estate market collapsed and took most of the state's S&Ls down with it.
I don't think we'll have a collapse. It's going to be sort of like letting the air out of a balloon. It's going to gradually unwind.
But a recession could quickly send vacancy rates sky high, while developers still have projects under consideration.
Continuing to build commercial construction at rates well in excess of demand. So even if we stopped everything today and didn't have a new start, we would probably have a 20% vacancy rate 2 years from now.
In Los Angeles, for example, there has been a boom in office construction in the last several years, mostly because of foreign money.
Literally 50% of the inventory in downtown Los Angeles is owned by foreigners, and a good share of that is owned by the Pacific Rim investors, the Japanese in particular.
Torgerson thinks the new space will be quickly absorbed by LA's economy, but other parts of the country might not be so lucky.
Oversupply is endemic, and there aren't going to be any areas that will be called bulletproof in this kind of context. I think most areas of the country will see a sharp reduction in construction over the next several years.
But all this pessimism does have a bright side if you're a company looking for space.
We visited probably 25 or 30 sites, and most people were very anxious to do a transaction with us, so it was a good market to be looking at.
Zoll's law firm finally chose space in 1675 Broadway, a new 35-story building on Manhattan's west side, where it got concessions like a pass-along tax benefit, options for extra space, and even a limited period of free rent. The developer says
that I think we've given these tenants a very attractive deal.
The tenant says
it was definitely a buyer's market.
The latest episode in our continuing coverage of the savings and loan crisis comes from California, where state officials are holding out the possibility of filing criminal charges against former Lincoln savings and loan operator Charles Keating. On Friday, the state filed a massive civil lawsuit against Keating, charging that he masterminded a fraudulent scheme to sell $200 million in now worthless junk bonds.
It is precisely for this type of calculated assault on the investing public that the California Corporations Code reserves its most serious penalties. We intend to see that the people responsible for this colossal deception are brought to justice and made to pay the full price for their actions.
California's Department of Corporations, which filed the suit, says it's turning over the files to prosecutors in Southern California. When we come back, an assessment of the Drexel debacle from one of its independent directors, former SEC Chairman Roderick Hills.
No, my wife and I have been steady companions for years. As a matter of fact, 53 years. I love her smile.
Quite a guy, quite a line.
Everything about her. But I couldn't have made a better choice if the whole world was at my feet.
Come on, you old flattery.
What's it like to drive the Infiniti M30 Sports Coupe? The M30 Personal Sports Coupe from Infiniti. Why don't you come in for a test drive?
At ABC News, we have a singular mission: to report to you what is happening in the world, completely, accurately, in a timely and unbiased fashion. And because more Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source, we take that mission very seriously. You can see it in our faces. ABC News, we're America's choice.
I used to dream of being stranded on a beach. There'd be perfect sunsets and clear blue water. And men couldn't live without me. Be careful what you dream. It just might come true.
China Beach, Wednesdays.
Turning to the week on Wall Street, at Friday's closing bell, the Dow Jones Industrials finished the week up by more than 96 points. Last week, our panel of stock market experts from around the country predicted an up week. Our panel is once again calling for an up week ahead. Some of our panelists say the market is enjoying what could be a limited rally. But panelist Al Frank, a Santa Monica-based newsletter publisher, sees the upturn lasting longer.
There's a very good chance that the market bottomed out with the lows in January, although it's not clear yet. Momentum indicators are improving, the outlook for the economy is improving, and the market has behaved very well despite erratic economic news and the fall in the Japanese market.
The demise of Drexel Burnham gained a new distinction of sorts this week when, for the first time, the Securities and Exchange Commission asked a bankruptcy court judge to give it a seat on the creditors committee. The SEC took the unusual step because of its settlement with Drexel over felony charges. This week's Business World guest is one of the independent directors appointed to oversee Drexel's operations as part of that settlement. Former chairman of the SEC and currently managing partner of the law firm of Donovan Leisure, Roderick Hills joins us from Palm Springs, California. Mr. Hills, you've been a businessman, you're a lawyer. Most importantly, you've been a former chairman of the SEC. Is it right for Americans to be skeptical about getting investment advice from an area of geography that can't manage its own affairs?
Well, the Drexel case is pretty unique. Yes, I think the American investor can trust the investment advisor community. I don't think there'll be another case like Drexel for a long time.
Well, on that very point, why wasn't it possible, and you were sitting there along with John Shad, Ralph Saul, not to see what was coming? You could tell the north wind was coming, couldn't you?
Well, there were dangers, surely, but you can't tell when the banks are going to lose faith. That comes very quickly. It can very quickly when you're highly leveraged, as Drexel was. And it may have been clear a day or two earlier, but it certainly wasn't clear 30 days earlier.
How far in advance, before the filing, did the management bring up the idea of bankruptcy, or did that come from the board members?
No, the management, I think, in a few days ahead of time, alerted us to the fact that they were having a real liquidity crunch, and they were worried, very worried, a couple of days ahead of time. And then, of course, you know the story of the final weekend. But, there was hope at the end that some liquidity could be found from the banks.
Was the government right, given the fact that Drexel still owes the government about $150 million, was the government right in not keeping Drexel alive, not doing something to keep it alive?
I don't have any reason to complain about the government's action. I think we won't know until after the liquidation of Drexel is done as to whether or not it would have been a good bet for the banks or for the government to do something earlier on. But I'm in no position today to say the government should have done anything more.
Even though bankruptcy was apparently not mentioned towards the end of last year, was Drexel right in the face of real problems to give out all of those bonuses? And also, did that go to the board? Was that a board decision?
Well, certainly we had the right of oversight, and if we thought we could have stopped those bonuses, and we thought it was wise to stop the bonuses, I think that we probably could have. The decision to pay the bonuses was made almost a year earlier, of course, when the management felt they had to guarantee the 75% of the prior year's income in order to keep a management team. The decision at that time, I suspect, can't be faulted. If the team had left, there would have been no Drexel. During the time that we were on the Oversight Committee, we had a complex number of questions to try to keep cash in the firm. Management locked up the stock of the employees, which was a major step to keep cash. Up until that time, all the employees with stock had the right to put their stock to Drexel and take cash out, much more cash.
But Mr. Hills, sorry.
No, but at the end, Fred Joseph caused the employees that had bonuses to take a lot of their bonuses in stock.
All right, so you said before you couldn't comment on whether it was right for the government to do what it did or didn't do, but you can be in a position to comment on what it did in the case of a bank in Chicago when it nationalized that bank. It saved S&Ls. Was this government, and I'm talking about Brady, Breeden, Greenspan, trying to make you a whipping boy for Wall Street successes?
I don't think so. I think that First Chicago is different. There you had federally insured money. The federal government, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the Federal Reserve Board have a far different responsibility. I can't fault, as I said, on what I know, I can't fault the government for its conduct.
Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us on Business World.
Thank you.
In just a moment, one company finding the best way to the goal line is also the best way to the bottom line.
The graying of America's workforce is having a major impact on the age of managers looking for new jobs. The median age of fired managers getting new jobs has jumped from 41 in 1983 to 46 in the last half of 1989, a rise of 12%.
Listen. Seems like only yesterday you were single, sweating through your engineering finals and driving hot cars. Today, you got a new baby, a new home, your first real job, and you're driving a Chevy Corsica. Just because you got a family doesn't mean you got to settle down.
The heartbeat of America.
The cars more Americans depend on.
That's today's Chevrolet.
The world's most accurate weather radar data is gathered by the WXYZ Corporation using the reliable 800 service of U.S. Sprint, the network that came through Hugo when AT&T did not.
Let's get that image up. Networks are waiting for the feed.
And if Sprint's nationwide fiber optic network can handle the moods of Mother Nature,
The front of this hurricane should miss us.
it can handle any business climate. Reliable all fiber optic 800 service only from U.S. Sprint.
You can see the dream of success in the eyes of people all across America. At Citicorp, we understand the dream. That's why, as Citicorp and Citibank, we've become America's largest financial services organization, already helping 1 in every 5 American families, with more home mortgages, more student loans, more MasterCard and Visa cards than any other company. We'd like you to get to know us better. Citicorp, because Americans want to succeed, not just survive.
Nightline's Ted Koppel, the master at making a complex world clear. And another reason why ABC News is America's choice.
The price tag for broadcasting major sports events is huge and skyrocketing. Just this week, ABC and ESPN, 80% owned by Capital Cities ABC, announced new 4-year contracts with the National Football League for huge sums. $900 million for ABC's Monday night games, $450 million for ESPN's Sunday night games. Ted Turner paid a like amount for NFL games on his network. But game videos are making money for another company, which isn't even broadcasting them.
2nd and goal. Manoa, touchdown, Cleveland.
Sports is a big business. The name of the game's winning, and we just saw a technology solution to several problems that football and basketball coaches have.
Like any business, a professional football team collects huge amounts of data. The method of collection, game tapes. But that data is useless unless you can access it when needed.
We have a number of years of experience making products accessible to the general population, people without a technological orientation.
By marrying a video editing system to a personal computer, Sports Tech gives a team the ability to catalog its entire season, play by play. The same can be done for each of its opponents.
Blocked! We're in a day of football where everything is boiled down to situations, and we do situational substitutions.
The Cleveland Browns, the first of 10 NFL teams to buy the Sports Tech system, keeps finding more and more ways to use this coaching tool.
We have probably as many as 20 general categories for each side of the ball, 20 for offense, 20 for defense. That'll change a little bit week to week. Within those categories, it's broken down to an infinite amount of whatever a team happens to be showing us that week.
What does this level of sophistication cost?
The lowest price system to a team that had its video equipment already is about $50,000. The highest price system we've sold to date has been $250,000, but I'd say the average in football is around $100,000.
Sports Tech put its first system online in 1988 and finished the year with sales of $180,000. In 1989, that figure mushroomed to $4.6 million. The original marketing effort was aimed at the pros.
When they see a coaching tool that will help them win, it becomes a very desirable product. Once we get their attention, we've made the sale. From the college standpoint, it's basically from a competitive nature. If someone else in the conference has it, they want to have it themselves.
Currently, 45 major college football and basketball teams have purchased the system, along with 7 teams in the National Basketball Association, including the New York Knicks. Head coach Stu Jackson says that Sports Tech is useful in personnel evaluation.
Where he shoots the ball best from on the floor. What is the best shot that you take? Where's his lowest percentage spot on the floor? What he does to create a low percentage shot.
This year, Sports Tech will introduce a new system. Price, only $10,000.
We think that will open up the 14,000 or so high schools that play football and give us a good shot at moving into other Olympic sports and so on.
We'll be right back.
It's very rich looking, very sleek. It has the look and feel of luxury, but it's something to be driven.
I think this Infinity is going to make all the luxury car makers consider doing some serious redesign work on their vehicles.
The Q45 luxury sedan from Infinity. If you have some time, we'd like to invite you for a test drive.
No matter where in the world you find yourself, if you lose your Visa Gold Card, we'll be sure to find you, because Visa will deliver a new card and emergency cash right to you. Whether you're negotiating the powder in Zermatt, exploring the coral off Bermuda, or simply checking out some Puy-Fumé at the Hotel de la Bretèche, where you can't even check in with American Express. Visa Gold, it's everywhere you want to be.
The idea here is to offer a sports coupe for people who want all of the elements of style, all the prerequisites of luxury in one place at one price. We'd like to invite you for a test drive, the M30 Sports Coupe from Infinity.
That's it for this week. Whatever business you're in, we hope the week ahead is a prosperous one. I'm Sander Van Oker. On behalf of everyone here at Business World, thanks for being with us.
ABC News Business World, brought to you by Infinity. For a transcript of this broadcast, please send $3 to 267 Broadway, New York, New York, 10007. This is Business World.
This has been a presentation of ABC News, where more Americans get their news than from any other source.
Hi, I'm Joan London.
And I'm Charles Gibson. We hope you'll wake up with us weekday mornings at 7 for Good Morning America.
We'll have news, weather, and informative interviews weekdays on Good Morning America.
Attention everyone who goes to bed but not to sleep. Are you troubled with insomnia, arthritis, back pain, or tossing and turning all night? Then Waterbed Gallery may help. Only this Sunday and Monday is every waterbed on sale. Here's just a sample. This finished bookcase waterbed is only $195. Only this Sunday and Monday will you get a complete waterbed. Your choice of size for only $125. Remember, doctors, sleep authorities, and medical publications praise the benefits of waterbed. Shop Waterbed Gallery this Sunday and Monday and find out why.
Why am I going to the 20th floor of an office building to buy a diamond ring? Because I'm getting a beautiful 1.5 carat diamond for under $2,500. With no money down and no payments or interest for 90 days. Hey, I've shopped around. Nobody can beat that deal.
New York Diamond. 20th floor Prudential Town Center. Call 355-2300 and save up to 60% by buying direct.
Whoa, that's a beautiful diamond. It's nice to have friends in high places.
The story of $2 billion in buried treasure on our next show. Good morning and welcome to the Home Show. I'm Gary Collins, and Dr. Mom, Marian Neifert, is here to wind up our series on Mommy Shock.
The baby's home, you've settled into a routine, and the initial shock is worn off. Now what happens? I'll tell you what to expect in that first year, and I'll show you some new baby products and what I think of them.
I'm Heidi Bohey. Movie mom Nora Fraser has more to help us overcome mommy shock.
Yeah, I'll review some how-to baby care videos I wish had been around when my two sons were born.
I don't know what your excuse is, but when I'm late, I always say I was lost. Leon Kaplan, however, is working on that somewhere.
Hi, Garrett. I'm not lost, just a little bit disoriented, but I got the latest in technology with this ETAC navigation system.
It will show me exactly how to get there, if I can just remember how to use it.
And Will Schreiner is back with more of Bob Conrad's home in Bear Valley.
Today on the Home Show, we're going to show you where Bob works out, his gym, his office, and the new rec room.
I think you look fine.
Oh, well,
I really do. No, I know what you're worried about.
Yeah, my little belly.
Yeah,
but I'm
because you had a
sucking it
baby,
in.
but you look great.
Thank you.
And we are
Thank
dressed, obviously, for something to do with exercise.
Yes, we are. Now, does this look familiar?
It does faintly because I think I have one at home.
Mm-hmm. Everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of us have
this.
stationary bikes that we don't use anymore.
How many of you use this in your laundry room to dry clothes? However, there's a way to make exercising on a stationary bike fun, and you get a total body workout, too. Here to show us how is fitness trainer and the creator of Biker Size, Kathy Yelverton.
Hi, Kathy. Good morning. How are you? Whoops.
Also, we've invited a few other people to exercise with us. Here's Carol Duvall and General Hospital Stuart Damon, Robert Menard, and Tanya Walker.
Come on over.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, good morning.
Does anybody here use the bike?
I do. Sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Okay.
Sort of.
Good. All right. Why did you develop this?
Biker size? Well, first of all, I was bored on the bike. And second of all, I had an injury, two knee injuries simultaneously, and I couldn't jog, and I wanted to keep up my training. And being bored on the bike, I developed a program where I can use my upper body while I'm on the bike, saves time, great for busy people. 30-minute program, working your biceps, triceps, your arms, rather.
All at once.
All at
well,
once.
that's terrific.
All at
Now,
once.
I mean, do you really take advantage of it, Stuart?
Not more than one day goes by without me using the bike 30-minute
That's
program.
discipline.
And
Wonderful.
I use the weights as well.
Now, Carol, we gave you one for your birthday.
No.
I
Do
know.
you use your bike?
Do you bring it back and forth when you go between Michigan and Los Angeles?
Of course, I slung it right over my shoulder. Because you did give me one, I feel a little obligated. Yes and no.
This
I mean,
is very painful.
I know. Look, I'm wringing my
Tell the
hands.
truth,
No,
Carol.
okay. Yes, I do use it, but not as much as I should.
Okay, all right. Well, I like it. That's honest. I like
That's
it.
an honest
How about
answer.
you, Lise? How about you, Tanya?
Well, I ride a bicycle or a stationary bike, but I also lift weights, and it's sometimes hard to have the time to do both thoroughly. So I'm excited about
I
seeing
guess you can do
Kathy's
both.
program.
Get it over.
Right.
And I work with a choreographer in dancing, and she has me get on this, but I do better with somebody standing over me, like, no, you gotta go backward in.
All right, well, you're in luck today because we have that person at Kathy. And how about you? What are you doing?
Actually, I use the bike, but not as often as I used to. I get a little bored with it, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how she incorporates all
You can
this.
tell who does the exercising. I'm wearing the sweatshirt.
I know. Well, we'll find out how we all perform with Bexercise.
Biker
I'm sorry, Kathy. All right, let's go over there and get to it.
Good morning. It's time for a healthy breakfast. This time, your kids will eat it. A cereal made from wholesome oats. Don't worry, your kids will eat it. Yes, wholesome Quaker oats. It's Cinnamon Life cereal. Want to know why your kids will eat it? Cinnamon Life has cinnamon deliciousness, lightly sweetened on the inside, toasted oats on the outside. Cinnamon Life tastes so delicious, even grown-up kids will eat it.
Let's play Mikey. I'll be Mikey, and I'll eat all your Life cereal. Now!
Cinnamon Life cereal. Unless they're weird, your kids will eat it.
On nights like these, Dr. Julie feels very hot. There's something you can rely on to bring her fever down fast. Oh, children's Tylenol. And on mornings like these, you'll see why children's Tylenol is the one most pediatricians give their own children. Now here's a cold medicine with the name you trust. New children's Tylenol, cold. Great grape flavor and all the relief he needs. New children's Tylenol, cold.
Some things are made to function in the freezing cold. Ordinary plastic wrap isn't. And if a wrap doesn't cling in the cold, it won't protect your food against freezer burn. That's why we created Freeze-Lock Plastic Freezer Wrap.